Okay, so I'm going to show you a way that you can actually not physically change the colors that are within a color stop, but one way that you can actually figure out a way of knowing when to stop your machine so that you can change your thread colors. And the reason why I'm having to approach it this way for you is because in Horizon Link embroidery link tool, we don't have the ability to actually tear a design apart like we do in a digitizing program. And so if we look at our design list over here on our screen, this is how the design comes in. It's a JEF file, and that means that all of the pieces of the design are pretty much stuck together. We cannot take them apart from their color stops. Now, what is a color stop? I'll just quickly review that. It is if you were to look at the color list on the design, you're going to see the different parts that are here on the screen, right? And if we scroll down using the little scroll bar, you're going to see that layer number 3 is all of this dark green color. Layer number 4 is what's demonstrated here in black, etc., etc. And we cannot take these two little yellow objects that are right here and take them apart from one another. But we can stitch them in different colors if we so wanted to. We could do, let's just say, part of this one over here in bright yellow, and then over here maybe we would want to use a different color. We can't take them apart, so there is a way though that we could decide when it is that we need to actually stop our machine so that we can change it ourselves. So this is what you do. In Horizon Link Suite, when you're on the Home tab up here on the top, you are either going to be in the View Embroidery or in the Embroidery Edit screen. So what does View Embroidery do? If we select on it, and it kind of turns a little bit darker of a blue color, you don't really notice anything different right here, but what it does is it allows you to then click on the View tab, and now it activates the Embroidery Simulator. So what Embroidery Simulator does, if we click on it, is you're going to get these little traveling tools, and it actually will simulate the sewing of the design. So if I hit the start button here, you're going to see that it's pretending like it is stitching out the design, and you can actually see the design stitching out on screen. So right now it's selecting or stitching out this black part. All right, so this is where I want to instruct you about, how you can effectively use this on your actual sewing machine. So I've paused it right here while it's stitching partway through this black leaf. So let's just use this design as an example, and let's say, yes, you wanted to stitch out this first part of the black leaf in black, but you didn't want to stitch this one here that's also part of the same color stop in black. So what can we do about it? Remember, we can't take the design apart, but we can use this stitch count section of the toolbar to our advantage here. So if you notice up here, it's telling us right now that we're on stitch number 744. We are actually, if I were to use this skipping through layers, you're going to see that if I were to skip forward, it's already finished up all of that black design. And if I click forward once again, it's now showing me everything that was part of the green. Now it's adding in some more black, apparently. Forward is adding in some yellow, etc., etc. Okay. Let's go backwards all the way until we don't have any of that first color stop showing. All we've got is the first basting line that was part of this design. Click on this little downward arrow, and you can see now that we could use these skipping forward and backwards buttons to skip through layers like I just showed you, or stitching one stitch at a time, 10 stitches or 100 stitches. This is very similar to what happens on your actual 15,000 machine. You can jump using the little arrow buttons on your machine by 1 stitch, 10 stitches, or 100 stitches. So let's just say, for example, we're going to start off by stitching 10 stitches, just as an example. I'm going to go forward, and you can see what's happening on the screen here. Forward once again, and remember what we're doing is we're stitching 10 stitches at a time, and I'm clicking each time on this forward button. It's a little slow reacting, it's not going to be lightning fast here, but number 10 is a good way to start because we don't know exactly how many stitches we've got in this color stop. So I can see that I'm getting to the end of this little leaf here. So now instead of jumping at 10, I'm going to go by 1. And I'm going to go 1 and just click, click, click until I can see that this little leaf is done and it has jumped to the new leaf right here. What I want you to notice, and this is what you're going to write down on your notepad, is you're going to write down stitch number 404. All right? This information will come in handy when you're actually at the sewing machine. And on the sewing machine, we've got a little calculator on the screen, and I'll show you a picture of that in a second. And that's where you can write in, you can just type in number 404, and the machine will go to stitch number 404, and it will allow you to change your thread, and you can change the thread color to the new color that you want. So you could just work through this entire design this same similar way. Next time, let's jump through a layer, okay? And I'm going to go forward, so now all the black is stitched. We could now perceivably do the same thing with this green. Okay, we're not going to stitch by layers, we're going to go by 100 stitches. Let's go forward and see where does that take us. Okay, another 100. If I go 200, that's too much here, so let's go backward. And let's change, instead of jumping by 100, let's jump by 10 for a little while. So I'm sure that you're getting the idea of what I'm telling you here. You can see that we're almost at the end of this little object, so let's slow it down and go by one stitch, forward, 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 until it wants to jump over to the new object. A lot of little tie-offs here. All right, and it's jumping. It's an interesting thing, but now it has finally jumped to the new object. So once again, if you wanted to change the color and not have it stitch in this same color here, write down the number that you see on the stitch count. Right now we're at 1,167, and you could change your thread, okay? What you're looking for on the sewing machine is a little box that looks like a calculator. So I have a page open now in our manual for our 15,000 sewing machine, and what you see here on the screen is we are in the ready to sew screen, which is showing that we've got an embroidery design on the screen. And this is what I want to point out to you. This is what I was talking about a while ago. You've got this little thing that looks like a calculator. What you do is you just press on this, and then it opens up a screen where you can type in the stitch number. So what that is the little shortcut to being able to jump through the design. As I've been telling you here, with this number that you've recorded, you can just stop your machine, type in that design on that little calculator, and it'll go directly to that number so that you can then stitch that part of the design in the color that you want. So anyway, it's a pretty handy tool, and I think you could find it useful. It will take a little bit of time because you would then have to open up each one of those designs that you want to basically be able to choose what thread colors you want where, and walk through these layers and walk these stitches and marking down these stitch counts along possibly with the thread color that you want to be using at any given point. Anyway, to get back out of here again, once you've finished walking through this design, just hit the exit button. Then what you're going to do is you're going to come to the home button up here. Don't try to hit this embroidery simulator again, because that's just going to take you back to being able to simulate the stitches. So hit exit, hit home, and then I want you to touch the embroidery edit button, and that takes you out of this stitch simulator. Okay, that's how it all works. Good luck. Bye for now.